uh, yeah, page 80, and in your textbook too, grammar reference on page 156 and 157. So I hope you have read the slide presentation I uploaded in our Google Classrooms in the early this morning. And this is the PowerPoint slide with the voice instructions. And the afternoon we will have a live sessions as normal at 2:30 to until 3:30. Right, so let's begin our lesson today. The grammar focus on page 80H, unit 9. You see, in these lessons, you are going to learn about verb patterns. I think you may have some idea about verb patterns in English. Some verb we can use with only infinitive, and some verb we can use only with gerunds, and some verb we can use them with both gerund and infinitive. However, in these lessons, some verb we can use both infinitive and gerund, but the meaning are different. And some verb we can use both too with infinitive and gerund, but the meaning is the meanings are different. All right, so let's go to my PowerPoint slides. First you can see our learning outcomes in these lessons. I want you to describe the verb patterns. So by the end of this lesson, you are going to know how to describe the verb patterns. What is the difference verb pattern and what are the verb pattern in our English language? And you will be able to define complete structure of verb pattern with that close to. And last one, you are going to identify the difference between verb plus ing and verb infinitive too. Verb patterns. So now I want you to look at these two sentences. I stopped talking to him and I stopped to talk to him. So what is the different meaning between these two sentences? I stopped talk to him and I stopped to talk to him. Yeah, you may have your own opinions about these two sentences. However, these two sentences has two different meanings too. You see the first one, I stopped talking to him, mean I no longer spoke to him. And the second sentence, I stopped to talk to him, so I finished what I was doing and start talking to him. So you can see the difference. The first sentence, we focus on the meaning. The meaning is focused on stop, right? I stop. And the second one, the meaning focus on we may focus more on to talk, right? So you stop doing something and you talk to someone else. So in this lesson, you are going to learn a lot of different form of verb patterns. And the first form of verb pattern is the verb pattern with gerund. Right, so we are going to talk more about gerund first. So you can see the form by yourself, verb plus verb plus verb ing. Right? You can see the example, he admitted stealing the money. So we have our form, verb, admitted, and verb plus ing, stealing. So after the verb admitted, we use verb ing form. He admitted stealing the money. And the use in this grammatical structure, you can see the use, some verb like admit, deny, regret, suggest, constant, right? A lot of verb. Some other verb that we can use only with gerund, right? Like imagine, miss, spend, right? Consider. A lot of verb that we can use only with gerund. So this verb can only follow by verb ing. And you can see some more example about verb pattern with gerund too. But here we use verb plus ing, or we call gerund after preposition or prepositional phrase or phrasal verb. So beside this group of verb, we can also use verb gerund after these certain types of verb after prepositional verb and phrasal verbs. You can see the example in the slide. After leaving school, he joins the army. So you can see after preposition after leaving, so we can use gerund. So after his preposition. Right? And the second example, she apologized for arriving late. So apologize for, here we call prepositional phrase. So after prepositional phrase, apologize for, we use gerund arriving. And the third example, I'm giving up smoking. So give up here is the phrasal verb, and after this phrasal verb, we use gerund. And I think you have learned already about the two phrasal verb, right? Two word phrasal verb. Normally after two word phrasal verb, we use gerund. Two word phrasal verb like up, keep on, give up, right? So normally two verb phrasal verb we use gerund. Or sometimes we call this one verb give and up here. Normally in phrasal verb we don't call we don't call them preposition. We call them particle. Right? So after verb we call particle. So verb plus particle plus gerund. But in one special case, you can see I'm looking forward to seeing you. So here, look forward to is the three-word phrasal verb. So in English, three-word phrasal verb, we also use gerund after them. So to here is not to infinitive. So to here is we call verb. Look is verb. Forward is particle, and to here is preposition. It's not to infinitive. So we use I'm looking forward to hearing or to seeing you. The next slide, point number 9.2, verb pattern and infinitive. So the verb pattern with the infinitive, you can see the form verb plus infinitive plus verb, right? So you can see the example, he asked to do it. He asked to do it. So he is the subject and ask is the verb, and after this certain verb we use to infinitive to do, right? To do something. The use of this type of pattern, you see some verb like ask, agree, offer, promise, refuse, want, and some other verb that we use with to infinitive like agree, decide, expect, happen, intend, or offer, or seem, a lot of verbs that we can use only with infinitive. So those verbs we use with to infinitive. But in this type of verb, we use with infinitive too. But we use verb plus object first before we add infinitive. For example, some certain verb like ask, beg, encourage, order, persuade, tell, want. Right, normally you can ask, for example, I ask students to write an essay. I ask students to write an essay. So I ask is a certain verb. Students, the word students is an object and plus two, right? So, or you can see the example, they ask him to do it. So they ask is the certain verb, and him is the object, and to do. So to infinitive verb. However, in English, some verb, but not many verb that we use without to. we normally we see three verbs in English we use without two infinitive, like the word make, let, and have. But sometimes have we can use with infinitive and gerund too, and the meaning are the same. So in the example, they make me do it. So subject, verb, and object and do it, right? Without two infinitive. Or they make me cry. You can see the example. You make me cry. So you here make an object and cry without two. You cannot use you make me to cry. No. Or let me. You usually use the word let me go home, right? You let me go home. Or you can see the example with have. I have my brother do homework. I have my brother do homework. So you don't need to use I have my brother to do the homework. The next like is about verb plus that and plus clause. Right? So in this certain types of structure, you can see some the main point in this part. In some, not all, of the above example, the that clause can be used after the main verb in place of gerund or infinitive. So we use instead of gerund or infinitive, sometimes we can use that as well. But there is no change in meaning. That itself can be omitted. So sometimes we can use that clause here, but sometimes for the word that we can put it in the sentence, or sometimes it is omitted. And the meaning is still the same. You can see the example. She admitted that she had made a mistake, or he promised that he would do it, or they suggest that we should have a long break. So sometimes we don't want to use infinitive or gerund, so that the speaker or the writer try to use that instead of gerund or infinitive, and the meaning is still the same. Let's move to next like is about verb plus ing or to with little or no change of meaning. So you can see the example in this part. You see the verb begin, start, continue can take either ing or to and mean the same. So you can use this word in both infinitive or gerund, and the meanings the same, are the same. For example, it start to rain or it start raining. So the meaning is still the same. It began to rain, or it began raining, or it continued to rain, or it continued raining. All right. So only normally these three verbs that can take both infinitive and gerund, and the meaning are still the same. And then it's like the verb plus ing or to with little or no change of meaning too. This is another special case. You can see many verbs that express feeling or attitude. The verb that express feeling or attitude we can use. We can also use with both infinitive or gerund, and the meaning is a little or no change of meaning of terms. For example, I like doing homework, or I like to do homework, or I love swimming, or I love to swim. So the meaning are still the same, or it's not much difference. But if you want to distinguish between the two infinitive or gerund, you can see the example below. I like traveling by train. So I like traveling by train. The meaning means it's a kind of general truth. So I like traveling by train. But if you want to state something specific, you can use infinitive. Right? I like to travel by train when I go to my grandmother's. So this is a little more particular or specific when you want to emphasize the meanings to be clear to other people. The next like is the verb that we use with both infinitive and gerund, but it changed the meaning. And not many verbs that we can use with that we can use with both infinitive and gerund that change the meaning. So you can I think you can remember those words like remember, right? The verb remember, stop, try, right? Normally these three words, right? Regret. So not many verbs. So you can remember those words. So number one, you can see after verb remember, forget, and regret. Right? Children refer to an action earlier in this time when than the main verb. Earlier than the main verb. Right? An infinitive refer to an action at the same time or later. So yeah, in easy way you can see in this way. I remember giving her the message when I saw her. So this one you remember to perform, you remember doing something, or you remember to perform the task. And please remember to give her the message when you see her. So in this sentence mean I remind you to remember. So this one you remember doing something, and this one you should remember to do to perform the task. So that's why in this point you see the gerund refer to an action earlier. So you did, I mean you finished this action already. Normally, for example, you can say I remember doing the homework. So when you say I remember doing the homework, it means you have already finished your homework. But if you say I remember to do the homework, I remember to do the homework. So you remember to perform the task, but um, you you didn't finish your task sometime. Right? And you regret too. Regret, you can see I regret saying that because I upset her. I regret saying that saying that because I upset her. Or I regret to say we can't afford you the job. So this one regret saying here is refer to the early action, and regret to say here refer to an action at the same time. And try to, you can see the word try. For example, I try doing my homework. I try doing my homework, or I try to do my homework. So when you say I try doing the homework, you refer to your experience, right? I try doing my homework. But if you say I try to do my homework, it means you try to do your homework, but you didn't finish your homework. Yeah, so only some verb that you should remember, like the verb remember, forget, and regret, and try, and stop. They have we can use them with both infinitive or gerund, and they change the meaning. Let's move to next slide. It's about verb engine to the, which change the meaning too with the stop, right? I have already mentioned the word stop. And phrasal verb go on. Go on. So when we use stop and go on here, gerund refer to an existing action, and infinitive refer to following action. So you can see the example. I stopped reading book. So I stopped reading book here. The action refer to an existing action. So you don't read book anymore now. So if you say I stopped to read books, so I stopped to read book here, you refer to the following action. So you stop doing something to read book. And he went on repeating the question too. If you say he went on repeating the question. So he went on repeating the question here refer to an existing action. So he keep repeating the question again and again, and no one answer his question. And if he say, we say he went to say that he won my advice. So this one is that, not I forget T, I think. He went on to say that he wanted my advice. So he went on to say here is the following question. Right? continuous question. The next like is the verb with infinitive and gerund with the change of meaning. So in this special case, you can see right some verb right after the verb of senses, right? Verb of senses like see, hear, sound, touch, right? So here, yeah, this verb we use them plus object and those word plus object, right? And plus gerund. So the gerund here signifies an action in progress. So the gerund show the action in progress, and infinitive show the complete action. So you can see the example. We saw him cutting the head. So he was in the middle of doing it. So when we use cutting here, gerund, we use gerund. So the gerund signify an action in progress. But if we use to or without to infinitive, like we saw him cut the head, so we saw the whole event from start to finish. So the different, yeah, so just a little bit different between these two the verb about senses. I think this is the last point in our grammatical structures, like perfect and passive form. Perfect and passive form. So in this book, in this chapter, just mention a little bit about perfect and passive forms. So gerund and infinitive also have perfect and passive form. So for example, I don't remember. So I don't remember having. So you can say remember plus having said. Having said is the perfect form. Right? And she suffer from having had, also perfect form. And this one is the passive form. He doesn't like being told. Right? He doesn't like here can take both infinitive or gerund, but here we use gerund, right? Gerund. He doesn't like being told what to do. Right? Below is the points in our textbook. So in short, in this lesson, we focus only with verb plus infinitive, verb plus object plus infinitive, verb plus preposition plus verb infinitive, and verb plus adjective and infinitive. So you can see the exercise here in the second column, and here's the verb choice. I think you can complete this, but to save time, let's just complete them together. So the building seem what? Seem to what? Or seem to. But I guess this one, the building seem to sway, right? To sway to and fro, right? And we finally decided to maybe to leave, right? So to leave. So yeah, I have the answer at the end. So you can see the example and check the answer by yourself here, right? Like the lights continue to burn. I attempt to land. Right? Started to listen, and the verb with object infinitive. They had trained us to head or ordered the destroyer to go, help us bury, made the moon appear, and verb plus preposition plus ing, join in singing, stop him from making, right? And verb plus adjective, we were terrified to see. And I think the verb plus adjective here, we can use different adjective, right? It is important, it is great, it's terrible, it is bad too, right? It's bad too. Normally we use infinitive after gerund plus after subject plus verb to be and adjective after those adjectives. All right, I think that's all for these lessons, and you can read more in our textbook on page 150, page 156 and 57. And if you have any questions, you can ask me on the live sections, and we will talk more about our lesson. Alright, so that's all for our lesson today. Thank you and have a nice day.